it, but then I'm live. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Good morning here in Jamaica. It is August 7th and it is morning time here in Jamaica. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are going to be joining me from or are joining me from. I just decided to do this live. And let me tell you, setting up for a live, it has its challenges. But as you would see from the title that I have placed, I'm going to be talking about being a home owner. It's been it's been 2 years living in my house, living in my home, even though I've had it for 3 years. Of course, if you know me, you know that I was living in Japan before. And so for the first year of the life of my home or my house, it was empty. It was empty for one whole year. So I'm doing this live. I was encouraged by a friend of mine to go live. You know me, I'm not really the live person because it requires so much preparation. And even in trying to prepare for this, I'm still not prepared. But I got some help from AI. Yes, AI. Just some topics that were already in my head, but a little bit more organized. Because, let me say congratulations to you if you have embarked on a journey of home ownership and you are successful wherever in the world you are. Congratulations on this huge milestone. Be sure to celebrate it, which is something I kind of never really did, just because I came back to Jamaica so tired. But I think I have started the celebration process while trying to live my life. I continue to celebrate and give thanks to God for this accomplishment. So, what are we going to be starting with? Well, first, my name is Stacy. Stacy, personally speaking. If you know me, you know me. You know me from, So, and I'm just going to be sharing what my experience has been like since owning a home. Now, you must know this about me. I am very particular, meticulous, sometimes to a fault. Recently I was talking with my neighbor and I said to her, I think we're suffering from wanting to keep it same syndrome. Wanting to keep it the same syndrome. And what I meant by that was like, you get something new. I guess it's similar to buying a new car. You get something new and it has a particular color and everything just seems in order as it can be. And then after living in it for a while, you start to have to deal with the dust and the cobwebs and the fact that have put things in your space. And so it's not looking like the house that you just bought anymore. Things are changing inside and outside, and you are suddenly losing control of what your dream or the vision that you have for the house could possibly be. And I want to start there. So I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so I kind of wanted to keep things intact because I've always been big on maintenance. What do I mean by that? The concept or the principle of maintenance of a house or of anything is very important to me. Huh? But can I tell you, it is something that can drive you mad if you are trying to maintain your house in the same way, the same absolute way that you got it. A lot of things have changed just naturally, because of the existence of the house, and the temperature and climate that it is in. Because as you know, Jamaica is a tropical climate and it gets very hot and then it gets very rainy. There's no cold. There's no concept of cold for living in the tropics. And so you have that, keep that in your mind, right? I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like things in order. And can I tell you, I have not been able to put things in order as I'd like, you know. So it's one of the things that you want to think about. You can plan all you want. Can I tell you? You can plan all you want, but things are not always going to go in the way that you expect them to. And to be fair, I didn't even really have a plan. I tried to have like, you know, some kind of phase because I just came back to Jamaica. I would need to get a lot of things, which is expensive. And so I tried to organize things according to a time frame. That didn't work either. But um, I'm still trying and doing my best as a homeowner. And I want to say I'm a new homeowner because it's just 2 years, you know, living here. And so let me jump into some things that I found as a homeowner that you really have to think about, that you probably didn't think about when you were pursuing getting the house, you know. So you're pursuing getting the house, you know, you're going to have a big deposit and, you know, mortgage, you know, all of that, right? But then you get the house and then you have to think about maintenance fees or housing association fees, you know, those fees that come every month. Yeah, especially if you're in a gated community where I am, you have that. Can I tell you? I've been here for 2 years, and within the first year, that fee increased twice. People, I almost lost it. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I see some persons have joined. Hi, let me know where you're joining me from. You can just send a message in the chat. I'll respond, so don't worry, you know. But like, so I had maintenance fees to deal with. And then I had property tax. It's annual. The property tax is annual. But then you didn't really think about it. I didn't really think about it, you know. And just since this year, you know, the tax representatives came to the community, you know, to facilitate the paying of property tax. And I was sure that I had paid them. But what they do is you get I want to say you get 1 year to pay the property tax. But what they are saying is that when it is due, like it is due March 31st, right? So we're in 2025. March 31st would have been the deadline for the payment for 2024. So I'm always waiting until the deadline because as far as I'm concerned, I pay, you know, but I guess there's a kind of paying late. I mean, after the 31st of March, you're going to be paying it late. But I didn't think that, you know, waiting until the following year would be, it's not really a disadvantage or anything, but they are encouraging you to pay it earlier. So when April comes, they want you to pay. But I'm like, so why give us a deadline of 1 whole year? Anyway, so maintenance fees, property tax, what else? Of course, your usual light, water, internet, because these days everybody is connected. You always have to be connected. And I'm like, it's a little bit much for me, even though I was always connected in Japan, but like Japan is just kind of different. The apartment comes with the internet and all of that, you know? And not to mention the fact that I did not enjoy the customer service. I've not been enjoying the customer service in Jamaica. So I already returned my Flow instrument, and I've just been operating on Digicel monthly plans. So right now I'm doing this live stream from one of our internet service providers using a monthly plan, which gives me a certain amount of gigabytes. But anyway, I'm going to use it how I want and enjoy the process. So here I am, home ownership, all the monthly fees. And a part of those fees include the maintenance for the yard as well. People, it's like they see a gated community and they think, oh, everybody over there is rich, everybody has money, and they are charging some exorbitant fees to cut the yards, to install the landscape, to install grass. So I don't have any grass right now. One of the things that I purposed myself to do, apart from the fact that I have limited cash flow, is to observe this space, right? Because um it's new. I want to say it's new. The space is new for me, not Jamaica per se, but being a homeowner. Now you're thinking about landscaping, flowers, grass. You need to know about these different flowers and these different plants. And of course, if you're following me, you would know that I started my backyard garden or farm, and so on. And so all of these things now become an additional cost. You best believe installing flowers, grass, or anything becomes an additional cost or burden to your water bill. And the physical engagement if you are not able to pay a landscaper or a gardener. So I'm talking about costs here that I didn't think about before, and you really think about putting in, flowers and things, because you want to make it more homey. And so it just comes at an additional cost. Or time, because if you're trying to do it yourself, then it's gonna take time and energy and physical labor. So I don't have any grass right now. I observed when I just came, lots of people putting grass and putting hedging, and it looks really good. But guess what happens? The the overgrowth. People are unable to keep up with getting it cut, getting the hedgings cut, and so it grows over, and it grows over onto the road and covers the sidewalk. And it is very annoying for me, to be honest, but I can understand it, because it is quite an involving process. Once you set it up, it needs to be maintained. Another thing, if I could just jump inside the house, once you add a new piece of furniture or a new anything, it becomes something that you need to take care of. The dust over here, the dust is crazy. It's crazy because it's windy. And not only that, not everybody's able to put in grass at the same time. And even if you put in grass at the front, the curb appeal is normally done to the front of the house. Anyway, the backyard is still there. The backyard is dusty. Dust is going to get blown into the house. The houses are hot, and so people keep the windows open. And so every piece of furniture that you put inside the house now becomes something that you need to clean. People, in the first year, I felt like I always had the mop and broom in my hand. Remember, I told you about being a perfectionist and trying to keep the house looking the same as I got it. So the dust on the floor that is piling up, the cobweb. Listen, I'm like wondering, these spiders didn't know that they could live somewhere else before this house came. Spider webs, spiders, cobweb. You cannot get rid of them. Cannot get rid of them. Even if you did a weekly cleaning, by the end of the day of that day that you cleaned, the spiders are back, the cobwebs are back. And I should have known, because when I go outside, I am mostly outside my house. When I'm outside, the spiders kind of set booby traps for me as I'm walking around in the garden. And by the next day, the next morning, it's up again. So this idea of maintenance, whether you are doing it yourself or you're paying to get it done, it's a very involving thing. Very, very involving process. And boy, you have to decide how much you are willing to handle or deal with, because you're not going to be able to deal with everything. you know as a part of the package, when I bought the house, when others bought the house, we got this maintenance checklist, as it were. So things like um cleaning off the roof. Yeah, the roof. Because after a while you have things just settling, it gets black. I don't know why. So I mean, I've seen persons in the group asking about that jet stream thing that they use to blast off the grime and dust and whatever build up. So all these things, who thought about those things before buying a house? Nobody thinks about that. Having to do that. The other thing is the growth. No, not growth. What they call it? Between the windows. I can't remember that thing. That silicone. Ha! So even that is on the checklist. I should have brought it here with me. It's stuck on the fridge. Maybe I'll get up quickly and go for it. They are saying that you should observe it, and over time you might have to remove the caulking or the silicone and apply a fresh coating, because it helps to keep the place sealed. So you don't have I already have ants coming through the window. Anyway, the groove where you allow the water to run off back, ants come through that. But not spiders. Spiders find their way in anyway. But like lizards and so on, that will help to keep them out. And to kind of keep it watertight. Especially like the kitchen sink area where water is always splashing and so on. That one already starting to lift. Of course, the house is 3 years old. I think October actually is going to make it officially 3 years old. But we're not far from that. So who is thinking about all these things when you're buying a house? But this is a part of the home ownership process, right? So the maintenance, people, I've already broken my front ground pipe. That low pipe? Every house has a low pipe, right? Because that's where I connect my hose to do my garden watering. I have 100 feet. I have 100-foot hose. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying. And so I guess I got a bit absent-minded, and I was just dragging on the hose, and suddenly there was no water coming out of the pipe because I had completely ripped it off. Of course, it's a new house, so I don't have any fittings, no plumbing, anything. But thankfully, I have been blessed with some awesome neighbors, and one of my neighbors came and he fixed it. Long and short, he fixed it. And I said to him, "Oh, it looks like I need to start, buying some plumbing fittings and, just getting some things." And he's like, "No, Stacy, you need to stop mashing up the things, because, there's an expectancy. The house is relatively new. So you should not have to be replacing anything or fixing anything yet, unless you are doing some kind of home improvement or some renovations or stuff like that." All right. So because it's tropical right now, it's the height of summer. It's hot. I talked about the dust. I've mentioned some of the pests. Let me talk about the termites, or what we call in Jamaica chichi, because we are on sugarland. And it's not only because we're on sugarland, it's just because it's a tropical environment, and termites tend to thrive in these kind of high humidity, kind of moist, when it's ready environment. And so me, I watch the house like a hawk. I don't want anything that's wooden too close to the house. So I'm very mindful of that. And so from time to time, I spray around the entire house. Of course, some people get pest control to come in and do that. I like doing a lot of things, and I think I'm good at a lot of things, which is a good and a bad thing, because I end up doing everything. And I don't really want to be doing everything, but it just tends to happen, So I do that. People are trying to get rid of ants. I have not joined that one. I have not joined that at all. You know why? The ants were here before us, and they are going to be here after us. The only thing I try to do is to avoid them, being in like the electrical circuits and anything that's going to cause damage to the house. But once they're outside, even by the doorway, I try not to trouble them, because once you interfere with their dwelling, they just move to another section. No amount of pest control service is going to help. I tell people, and they're like, oh, but it controls them for a while, and then I think about all that chemical going into the earth anyway, and how it impacts the same soil that we're trying to plant things in. Anyway, so that is a part of the whole maintenance, the pest control, that we have to be dealing with, that I have to be dealing with, because I've been doing it by myself. Basically, I buy the chemicals from the farm store. I use Hypro Ace, namely. So um so now, as I said, it's summer, it's been dry where I live, Phoenix Park Village, where I live. It's near Portmore. It's one part of the community is in Portmore, and the other part is kind of classified to be in Spanish Town. Right? We don't get rain on purpose unless the rest of the country is kind of like flooding out. So when the time is dry, it's extremely dusty. And it's kind of good and bad because we don't have the weeds to deal with. But when it rains, like how it rained yesterday, we have the mosquitoes to deal with. And this is outside, of course, and the weeds. So since living here 2 years and counting, I have had my yard cut 3 times by external persons. Otherwise, I cut it myself because I bought a weed whacker. I thought they were just charging too much. I thought they were charging too much. Mind you, the other thing I don't really know fully is the cost of things here in Jamaica. I'm getting used to it now, right? And so I've had to be shopping around. So having a home comes with a lot of costs, a lot of financial investment, even after you have made the deposit and secured the mortgage and all of that. There are recurring costs that you have to think about all the time. And I always think about that. So I basically cut my yard myself. I buy the gas and the oil to put in the weed whacker. So that's a part of the maintenance, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Drop them in the chat. Just let me know that you are here. I really appreciate you coming on, especially since I didn't really announce or advertise this live. I just kind of jumped into it this morning. I wanted to do it yesterday because yesterday was a public holiday in Jamaica. It was our 63rd independence celebration, but I didn't get around to doing it because I was busy doing other things, right? And so I just decided to just do it today. I want to say kind of get it out the way because somebody on my channel was really interested in hearing from me what it was like to be a homeowner. And it was also something that I wanted to do since getting the home and realizing how many things are involved, and just wanted to share my experiences as I often do on this channel. So we have the pests to deal with, we have the weather conditions to deal with, from very hot and dry and dusty to when the rain falls and then all the weeds grow up and the mosquitoes want to take over, right? Of course, I've mentioned the gardening and the landscaping. And for those who know my channel, I'm big on gardening, especially growing things that I can eat. And so people tend to say I am farming. Whichever it is, I prefer to grow things that I can eat because I'm thinking also about food sustainability. The markets can be pricey sometimes, especially when I just came. I haven't told anybody really, and I guess I can, just say it here. I just bought a car. Yay! I bought a car, and that's another whole thing of, but before having the car, just going to the supermarket was such a pain. Going to the market, because of course I'm dealing with being back in Jamaica, being in a new space and all of that. So having to stock the place, depending on people for a ride, especially if I wanted to go to Price Smart, which is like a wholesale club like BJ's or Costco. I would go there and buy in bulk, and so I don't have to I don't have to leave my house. I almost feel like when I get home, I don't want to leave because it just feels so inconvenient to go anywhere. I do my hair myself. It's not a part of the homeowners talk, but just having to do all of those things. And so I do a lot of my gardening myself. I do all the gardening myself. This morning, since today's Thursday, I think since Tuesday, I started planting sorrel in preparation for the upcoming Christmas season. I started planting sorrel because I'm trying now to also generate other streams of income. Thank you, Auntie Faith. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so she's congratulating me on getting a car. Yes, it was a real struggle, people. So the landscaping, I am not. Let me tell you, I started planting grass. My neighbors were encouraging me to plant grass. One of my neighbors, actually, her grass started to grow over, and she started to water it. So she's like, "Yeah, man, you just need to, dig it up and so on and so on." I'm like, "Okay, fine." But people, the grass, the lawn grass or Zaza grass, it takes a lot of water. Mind you, when it is fully in, it looks beautiful. One of the things I don't like about it though is when I sit in it, to sit in regular grass, it kind of sticking me, it juking me, and I want to be able to sit in my grass. Thank you so much, Tetla. Thank you. I am really trying. I'm trying so hard, and just sharing whatever I learn with others, you know. So the grass, and another neighbor of mine was like, "Come on, take some grass, man. See some grass here." And people, I went through the hard task of plowing up the ground and putting in the grass, and I was watering, and I just saw my water bill climbing. And I'm like, I'm not ready for this. You really have to think about what you are ready for. You have to think about what you are ready for, not because of what everybody is doing. Because as I said, it's something I'm observing a lot. I'm looking at what's happening to people's hedgings. They're being infested. People can't take care of them. I know I certainly can't afford it right now. To putting it in is easy, buying the small plants and installing, that's easy. I could probably do that myself. But then when they grow up and they need to be taken care of and maintained, that's an additional cost. Not just on your water bill, but you're going to have to deal with the pests because you want your hedges to look nice and fluffy and all of that. But the other thing was that everybody, because of the tropical nature and the dryness, the almost drought-like conditions that we experience sometimes, people all gravitated toward the same kind of hedgings, the same kind of plants, and I was like, no, I don't want those, so I haven't decided fully what's going to happen, so my house, it looks kind of bare apart from the flowers that I have under the windows as a bit of window treatment. Those look really nice. And of course, my backyard full of nice things growing there, but there's no grass really. I stopped watering the small grass section that I had. I stopped watering it. And I also decided I didn't want Zaza grass anymore because, as I said, I don't like what it looks like when it's dying for rainwater. Oh, people, the other thing, the chlorine in the water. Yeah. So, you have to be thinking about your plumbing because it's going to start, seeing that white build up, whatever calcium build up, whatever it is that is building up, so I use vinegar to clean certain things to help to break it down. People having a house, it's a wonderful feeling. The maintenance aspect, yep, you better believe it. It's gonna give you stuff to do. And I just want to piggyback quickly. So with the maintenance now, it means that you need to engage with contractors or workmen or workman, as we call them in Jamaica, and why them not improve. Let me not all of them. This is a general thing. Some of them, the mentality is still down here. The mentality, and that's also why I kind of ended up getting a weed whacker, because the person that I had gotten the time, I didn't like his approach, and I was trying to talk to him, and he was like, "Why just a watch me so?" And because I had things planted around the back, and I wanted to ensure he wasn't going to chop them down, because when they come with their weed whackers, all they want to do is clear and go on to the next job, right? And so I didn't like his approach, and I have not used him again. As a matter of fact, my neighbor that introduced me to him, she has stopped using him as well, because him just see we and thinks that we have money, even if you don't have a lot to cut, them just charging a lot, like $10,000, 10,000 Jamaican dollars, to cut the yard. And I have a lot of things growing around there, so it should be less for them to cut, even though they have to navigate more things. Anyway, it was just too much. So getting good workmen, I just hope, that's my prayer, that I can find good workmen that will just do what they're supposed to do what they have the expertise in doing, and communicate with their customers. So right now I haven't had to really engage any workman too tough. I actually fixed a little electrical thing I had myself. I have a drill. I have a power drill, and a impact driver set. So any drilling that I really need to do, I do that myself. Apart from in the beginning, the curtains and so on was installed by somebody else. Well, the curtain rods. Yes. So, can I tell you about curtains? So I have a lot of windows in this house. Nothing compared to America. Guys, we're talking about Jamaica here, Jamaican homes. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of double windows. 5 sets of double windows, and 1, 2, 3, 3 smaller windows, right? In the kitchen, a small window in my bedroom, a small window in the bathroom, but I don't put any curtains there. I have the same set of curtains since I just moved in. Yeah. Yep. So I need curtains, and curtains are not cheap. When you have to buy so many. Oh my goodness. Where I'm coming from, where my mom is, not that many windows. Not that many, and I mean, she didn't have all the windows to start with, so over time she would have accumulated some curtains. Now I understand why people always changing curtains during Christmas time, meaning that's the time when they decide, okay, they're going to get another set of curtains. I can't just get a whole other set of curtains every year, because it's a lot of windows. It's a lot of curtains. I need at least 2 to 3 curtains. You want to maintain the kind of aesthetic. Yeah. So I need curtains. Anybody listening, I need curtains. So I need to try and step back from a lot of the things that I do. And I think I'm able to do it because I work part-time, but I really want to dive into something full-time. And so it's going to mean less time for me to actually be taking care of the house and the yard myself, right? So what other costs are involved with home ownership? What other costs are involved? Already, I'm not going to mention the security ones because, for security reasons, I'm not going to mention that. But you can imagine having a home and needing to secure it. The thing now to do everywhere, it seems. When I was in Japan, I didn't have to do any of that. Japan is one of the safest places in the world. The apartment complex did have cameras, right? But I did not have to. That was not my cost. It was already included in everything. Right, so there's no cameras, security cameras, grill installation or burglar bars. What else? There's an alarm system that came with the house, but like almost nobody uses it because it's a bit faulty, and so it will set off, and you can't turn it off unless you plug it out, and it's all the way up in the ceiling. Nope, no thank you. Oh, not only that, let me tell you, the main reason why I don't use it is because the house is hot and you have to lock up every single window and door for the alarm to actually be used and effective, because of how the sensors have to be aligned. And so for them to be aligned, you have to lock up the whole place. The place is too hot for that. It's too hot. And so I don't use my alarm system that came with the house. All right, so talking about home ownership, I already mentioned that, the usual utilities. I've been trying to keep that down as best as possible. I live alone, so it's a little bit easier for me to do that. Um, yeah, I don't want to talk about the disparities that have been occurring with the utility companies, some ridiculous bills that people have been getting that has nothing to do with home ownership, that just, yeah, I won't do any name calling either. So that, I can control and manage what I can control and manage. The other thing I had to get used to being here is traveling. So traveling becomes an expense when you have to take 2 to 3 vehicles to get to a destination. And that was very frustrating for me, trying to manage a household by myself, with limited resources. So, when I just came, the house is set up in such a way that it had the inlet, or the space for the stove, and it was a preset size. So I figured, okay, it's for a 30-inch stove, So it kind of psychologically, it kind of told me, okay, you need a big stove to fit into the space. And then because it's going to be my home, it's not like me I move and go nowhere, I really wanted to set it up nicely, and I was in the States before I came. Just before I came back, from Japan, I stopped in the States for like 3 weeks, and I was surrounded by all this stainless steel. And so I came back now, and in my mind, I just wanted stainless steel. I just loved how it looked. But it's also more expensive, but I didn't kill myself to buy everything one time, because I just came back. I didn't have no pay slip. I didn't have no job. So everything was cash, credit card, payback cash, kind of thing. And so I got a stainless steel stove, a big one, 6 burner, even though it's me alone. So I tried to use all the burners, don't worry. Got a stainless steel fridge, 19 cubic feet, and it's big. But because I do my gardening thing and so on, I have been utilizing the space. Believe you me, it has surprised even me. I still don't have a washing machine. People, it's my pace. It's my pace. It's my pace. I thought the car was more important than a washing machine. I needed the stove and the fridge. You need food and the time hot, so you wanted something cool, right? But I can't wash with my hands. So from time to time, I wash with my hands, or I go over my mother, or go over my neighbor, or go over my cousin. And now that I have a car, it's even easier. Not that I want to be a burden to anybody still, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity to, use others' resources for the time being. So, of course, now them have this big space for the washing machine. But I haven't acquired that yet. So it's yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey. And importantly, I've been keeping at my pace as much as possible. That is something I want to encourage everybody to do, keep at your pace. creating a home. So being a homeowner, creating a home includes your neighbors. Believe you me. Not everybody believes that though, because I have some neighbors, them don't say them don't give morning or evening to nobody, right? But that is not in my book. I still think some manners carry you through the world. And so I have tried to be very neighborly because it's a part of my home building, you know. So I've tried to be as neighborly as possible. Those who don't want to be neighborly, kind of say, all right, I will still say hi and so on, but you understand the degree, or I understand the degree to which I want to be and engage with my neighbors, and they look out for me. Yeah, I leave her alone. Anything can happen, so I'm very mindful of that, so I created a gardening group, and it stemmed out of trying to connect, because I also like connecting people. It stemmed out of trying to connect people and also to connect myself with people and just to get to know people around a common interest. And so this is a part of home ownership. You're in this neighborhood, especially since it's kind of gated, and yeah, not everybody has the same mentality though, but yeah, so with all of that's happening, home ownership, like any other responsibility like this car now, you need to be saving for eventualities. God forbid, but things can happen, and so you always have to have something saved up somewhere. I wonder what I would do differently with what I know now. I think I'm a very careful person. I can't say I would stay in Japan longer and and save more money, because I think I did extremely well in that aspect. Um, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. What would you do? What do you do as a homeowner? If you are a homeowner or it's something you're looking into, what do you do? What are some of the things you do? Do you have any tips or suggestions for me, as to what I could do? I'm just trying to take care of what I can take care of with the strength and resources God has blessed me with. And I'm grateful so far it has been working. Not everything is perfect, but it has certainly been coming together. Um, I'm observing, I continue to observe a lot. And I think that is very important, Observe your space. Observe your space. There's so much you can control and no more. Observe your space where possible. Talk to people in the area before you actually move into the house. I mean, if you buy it already, kind of late, right? But just be very observant and vigilant, and I think I've been doing that as much as I can. And now I'm rambling, and so I think it's time to call this live to an end. Being a homeowner, it has been a fascinating journey, an expensive one. Not that it's more expensive than anything else. It's just that there are costs associated with being a homeowner where I don't think I thought that much into, especially when you're trying to get things done for yourself. You have to kind of work on the pacing. Not everybody can boom buy a house and concrete or set or put in paving stones immediately, and put in grass and hedging and flowers and set on solar panels. I'd love to be able to do that, but I mean, in all reality, if I even did that, it wouldn't even make sense based on the amount of consumption energy that I do consume, but no, there are different avenues, NHT and other lending agencies that are providing solar loans, that you can actually install solar panels. But I'm not ready for another loan. Not with this mortgage that I have to pay every month. But yeah, so thank you so much for staying with me on this journey of being a homeowner. And I just realized, let me see if it makes a difference, though, that I am sitting in front of the ring light and I did not turn it on. I did not turn it on at all. Let's see. what difference it would have made. Oh well, to sign out, to wrap out, to end. You get to see my face a little bit brighter. Let's try that one and that one. Silly. Thank you so much for joining me, Stacy, personally speaking, on being a homeowner in Jamaica 2 years later. All the things I've had to be dealing with, the maintenance cost, um, learning about neighbors, dealing with furnishing, landscaping, all those wonderful things. It was my pleasure sharing this time with you, and thank you for sharing your time with me also. Bye for now from Stacy, personally speaking. God bless you.